Hey, what's up, Facebook Live? How y'all doing out there? So I just want to drop in here and mention the importance of letting go. For many people, letting go is something incredibly difficult. And to some degree, it should be, right? Because it means that the thing you're holding on to weighed some level of importance in your life. So today, I wanted to kind of connect with you and speak to you about the importance of letting go. Because oftentimes it's those things that keep us at bay. They prevent us from moving forward in our lives. So here's the first thing I want to do. First off, if you want to share with me some kind of story or some kind of experience where you realized the importance of letting go, or maybe some situation that you find that you can't let go. How about that? If any of you find that you're in a place, something that you can't necessarily let go of, I'd be more than happy to help you out. Yeah? Give you a little free coaching here. So, hey, what's up, Jessica Marie? What's up? If you guys can hear me, just give me a thumbs up. It sounds like you can. So, hey, Leslie, how are you? Shoot me a message. Tell me where you're from. But more importantly, if you can, just tell me if one of you have been in an experience, or maybe you're going through an experience right now where you don't necessarily feel like you can let go. And first off, we're all just going to applaud you and congratulate you for being honest, because you're one of the few among the many, right? One of the few that's able to stand up and say, I need help in this area, right? So the first thing that I'll tell you is it is important to let go. In fact, let me phrase it this way. It's a matter of priority. It's ultimately, that's what it is. It's a matter of priority. What is more important to you? Is it moving forward and progressing in your life? Or is it staying back in the past, in an old moment? So here's the thing. Every single one of us wants to progress in our lives, right? I doubt that when we want to sit down on our deathbed and look in our past and say, okay, you know what? I had all these dreams, I had all these visions, but then this happened, and then that happened, and this other thing happened, and these are the reasons why. You don't want to have reasons. You don't want to have excuses on your deathbed. That'd be the worst thing possible, because not only does it affect your life, but also affects the lives of so many other people. Because what you do is you set an example, or you give a warning, right? People will look up to you, people that you care about, people that you love, and they'll see that as a way to live their own lives. And because you weren't able to let go of something, you lived a limited life, right? We have to focus on progress, on forward momentum, on driving towards some aim. And that aim is specific to you. Nobody else can tell you whether that aim is good or worthy. It is, if it's important to you, it's important to you. It means something, right? And so I don't give a shit if that means that you want to save the oceans. Maybe you want to make $1 billion, right? Maybe you want to fly your own jet. Maybe you just, I don't know what it is. Maybe you want to join the military. I don't know what it is, but that is incredibly important. And you need to start prioritizing that and focusing your energy on that thing, right? Because what happens when we can't necessarily let go of things is we find ourselves entering basically this almost a victim mindset. Blame, complaint, and judgment of other people. It's basically creating this area of resentment in our life on why we can't be where we'd like to be, right? Whether that be the way a person treated us, the way something they said to us, what they did to us, or maybe it's not even a person, maybe it's a situation, right? Maybe it's not even an individual, maybe it's a group. Well, you know what, that company, they kicked me out, and that's the Listen, man, as long as you're focusing your energy on that, it's going to grow. And I'll tell you something. A lot of times, what I notice is when people enter this kind of mindset, because that's all it is, man. It's a mindset. Mindsets can be changed. That's the beauty of it. But you get it's almost like you put this lens on, and you only see through that lens. And you believe everything to be true through that lens. And it is true, but it's only true to you. It's only true to you. In fact, one of the things that I've noticed, it's taken me some 34 years to find this out, but there can be more than one truth. Something can be absolutely true, and it can also be absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Just because you have the reference experiences to support something does not necessarily mean that it's true. Sometimes we need to let go of an old belief or an old mindset. Because let me tell you, what I've noticed is when people are in that place, it's almost like they're trying to beg for karma to happen to somebody else, right? Oh, well, you know what? Karma will show them, and then we enter these conversations with anybody. Oftentimes because we didn't speak up earlier on, right? There was something that didn't happen at the way we might have felt that it should have happened, and then we didn't speak up when we needed to, right? And that's fine. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up for it. You're going to learn over the long term. And so eventually, 1 year down the road, maybe 1 month down the road, maybe as a result of that experience, you're much better able to speak up. These things are important, even though right now, most of my coaching is now focusing much more on building success for an individual, such that they live the lives that they want to live. But when they're in that place, they're focused on the karma, that the other person needs to experience karma. And I'll tell you, there is somebody that's experiencing karma in that moment. And it's you. It's only you when you're in that resentful place. When you're in that hurtful place, that is its own karma. Because it's going to reduce your progress. It's going to place you in this negative energy. And I'll be honest with you, nobody wants to spend time with that energy. And you might even feel like, well, no. That's not true because, and I'm right, and I know I'm right because I've spoken to other people and they've told me that I'm right. And I'll tell you also the truth. People are generally want to avoid conflict as much as possible. And when they find themselves in a situation with a person that is in that kind of an energy, here's the truth. I'm just telling you the truth. You might have some friends, you might have some family. Hell, it might even be a person that you're intimate with. And they want to avoid the conflict. And so they're just going to say whatever to end the conversation as quickly as possible. And oftentimes that's agreeing with you. They'll just say, yeah, you're right. That person treated you like shit. When in the truth, who gives a shit? Move on. That's the best thing I could tell you. Move on. Why? Because you're not, that other person, in all likelihood, and I hope this doesn't hurt too much, they're probably not thinking about you. That situation, that company, it's already moved past. It realizes it's in the past. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. To leave the past in the past. To step forward. To look through the windshield. That's where life happens. Drive through the windshield. So we need to let go. Why? Because if you're in this resentful place, it's going to hurt you. You're going to be in this negative energy. And is the natural reaction that I feel when I feel somebody else in that energy. I don't want to be around them. Right? It's going to reduce your relationships, the potential for relationships, so much more. People are going to see you, they're going to feel that there's some energy about you. We know that to be true. Women, you guys know this to be true way more than men. It's the energy that you bring to the interaction. It's that communication that's ethereal almost. It can't be described even. But you know, instinctively, intuitively, whether this person is in a good energy or not. So think about that with ourselves as too. You know what I mean? I truly believe that we transfer emotions. Most people, what they're doing is they're hoping for another individual to transfer emotion into them, such that then they can experience that happiness, that love, the motivation, the discipline, whatever it is. But it's just, if you believe that to be true, then it's just as true that we can transfer that into other individuals. And in fact, it is true because you've experienced it. And so we have to do as much as possible, not just for ourselves, but for our communities at large. I've been in a resentful place. We all have. We have to be honest with ourselves. And what that helps us do is recognize those little things that cause us to enter that place. And when we find our mindset go there, we can say, no, stop. That's the thing, is the awareness. And hell, you might not necessarily find out that awareness in the moment because we're human and we're capable of mistake. But hey, maybe it's 2 minutes later. Maybe it's 2 hours later. Maybe it's 2 days later. And you go, oh my God, I've been in this resentful, hating place. I've been pointing fingers saying what they did wrong to me, and how they treated me. And the situation that put me in. And all you're doing is focus on the problem, not on the solution. There's no progress there. And even worse, I'll tell you something crazy. Most of these mindsets are no different from a muscle. Most of these mindsets will become habituated. And so the further you do it, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. The easier you fall into that negative track. And so think about this again from a place of priority. What's more important? What's more important? What could possibly be more important than your life? You say the lives of other people. Yeah, that's true. They're just the same. But if you care about these people, let's say it's your son, your daughter, if you care about this individual, maybe it's your intimate partner, maybe it's your friend, your family member, then at the very least, bring them, all of you. At least bring them your presence. Because when you're in a resentful place, you're not present. You're not present at all. You're somewhere else. I've had that conversation. I remember being with my dad at a dinner table, and he just looks at me and he's like, "Are you here? Are you here?" You know, and me just being somewhere else, you know, about what somebody did to me, what they didn't do to me, you know. So as much as possible, you know, and the truth is it's hurtful to them. You know, it's horrible being in that place. I'm sure you know what that feels like, to be in the presence of somebody and know they're not even there. You know, it's almost like speaking to a ghost. They're just glassy-eyed. They're looking elsewhere. And you're sitting there and you want to make contact. You want to connect with this person and they're gone. You know, they're not there. They're not in front of you. You have an empty shell of a human being. And it feels so sad. You know, and we want to break through. You know, we want you to feel better. You know, but then maybe you start going into, well, you know, and it's too much. You know, it's enough for us to take care of our own lives, much more take care of somebody else's. Right? So we got to take the small steps. You know, what can I do today? And maybe you realize, oh my God, for the past 2 months, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, I've been resentful. Well, you know what? That's fucking cool. That's a good thing for you to realize that. Don't beat yourself up for it. You don't need to stack, you know, personal resent on top of it. You know, it's going, oh my God, yes, I found out today that something's different. You know, that I've been living differently. And maybe there's an opportunity for a better reality, a more enhanced reality, an improved reality. At the very least, a real reality. At the very least, reality. You know, and I'm willing to face whatever fears and troubles and tribulations. And I'll tell you something else, is like the things that you let go of somehow, some way, they come around in different form. You know, it's almost like, you know, trying to affix to something specific, when in reality what you needed was something a little bit more general. Right? I'll give you an example. Let's say you wanted to make $1 million, yeah? And for you, the only way to make that money was in real estate. And so you're focusing on real estate, over and over and over real estate, this particular piece of investment, this particular property, and that property doesn't give. Or maybe some collapse, some economic collapse, and then you feel like you'll never make it again. And it was the damn economy, it was the damn president, it was the damn, and you start pointing fingers and all that stuff, and you keep focusing on the problem. That wasn't what you were after in the first place. What you were after was something bigger. You know, the $1 million. Maybe that's not something that connects with you. I'll give you another example. Let's say it's a relationship. There's a person, right? There's a person that you want in your life, or you wanted in your life, and it didn't pan out. Happens to all of us. It's human nature, right? And so in that place, you know, obviously there's a separation between expectation and reality, and that's where all pain happens. And so you're sitting there and you're going, oh my God, like, you know, and you start complaining, becoming bitter, you know, pointing fingers, resentment, rejection, repression, all that stuff, right? And you maybe even project out this generality that's not true. That, well, that's not, all men are assholes, all women are bitches. You know, they're never. I'm never gonna have this experience again. Or, you know, they fucked up my life. And no. And in fact, that individual, it's not like you were born and you said, you know what? Well, I want Becky, you know, or I want Tommy. You never even met Tommy. You never even want Becky. Before you even met them, what you wanted was love. You wanted the experience of somebody treating you right. You wanted, you wanted to laugh. You wanted to be able to sit back, Netflix, and chill. You wanted somebody to fuck your brains out. Whatever the fuck that is, right? But that was what you wanted. And then you narrowed your focus and you said, this is the only way I can attain it. And when you focus that, and you know, then that doesn't give, right? So you break free from that. You let go. And maybe that's a painful process, but you let go. And then you remember, oh my God, no, this is what I wanted. Oh my God, no, this is what happiness feels like. This is what reality feels like. Holy shit. I've been living this imagination, this dream world. What the hell? Right? And then it's as if you let go, and then you open up this space for that thing to actually start taking form. Whether it be the $1 million, whether it be the relationship, whether it be the great health. Right? So, we're in a little low on battery. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read some of these comments here. I'm going to navigate to the, let's see, Lauren Goldblatt says, we aren't making room for the new things we want and goals we have if we hang on to the bad. Very true. Very true. Good point. You know, and Leslie says, how do we help those we care about to realize this? Being emotionally supportive of someone I care about who is in this place is exhausting. Do not sacrifice your energy. Do not sacrifice your capability. Right? Because when you're doing that, you're latching onto something. And the way I see it is this. Let's say I were to give you, a metal object, right? And that metal object is cold. What would happen to you? Would you become hotter or would you become less hot? You'd probably become less hot, right? The transference of energy. That's no different when we're talking about emotionally, right? And so what I suggest is if you want to show somebody, in my opinion, that's it, is be an example. Don't necessarily look and tell them what they need to do, because oftentimes that's the way that you sabotage your own progress. You know, this was something that I had done. Right? Oh, listen, world, this is what you guys need to do. And as a cool excuse for me to do jack shit. You know, I had to come to that realization. Say, no, Diego, listen, you've been doing fuck all. You've been doing absolutely shit. You know, and then you go off and you have all these like comments and great little tips and stuff. Why don't you eat their own cookie? Right? Eat the advice before you feed it to another. And that's the hard lesson I needed to take. Right? And so if you find that you're in an exhaustive place, it's because you're putting energy. Think about it like almost like the stock market, right? You feel exhausted. And you're placing all this energy into something that is not returning the investment. If we were to think about that in terms of money, if I were to say, hey, listen, I got this beautiful stock for you. No, it's amazing. Every dollar that you put in there, you'll never get it back. And at what point, you know, after $100, after $1,000, at what point would you say, oh, you know what? I'm done investing in that thing. It's just indebting me. Would it be at a $1, $100, $1,000, $10,000, $1 million, $1 billion? The same thing in emotional energies. You know, there's this beautifully bullshit belief that I see around that says, well, it's better to give than to receive. Bullshit. Typically, what you'll notice is that people that say that are often in a place where they like to take, right? They like to be. They're in a receiving place. Those people that like to say that to you. In my opinion, giving is just as important as receiving. And I'll tell you, I find not just giving is incredibly selfish if you're not willing to receive as well. Because you know how great it feels to give to somebody else. And you know how great it feels when they receive that gift. What if you made a beautiful gift for somebody on Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is that you celebrate? You give it to this person for their birthday and they go, no, I don't want it, and they push it away from you. How would you feel? You feel like shit. Because they're not capable of receiving. And so we need to realize when we're not receiving as well. If you can't do that, at least think about it this way. Give to somebody else the opportunity for them to give to you. It's self-love, if you want to think about it that way as well. It's just important. It's incredibly important. So I've been there. I've been there. So I feel that pain, Leslie. Let's see. Awesome as always. Thank you, Shelly. I'm trying to make progress and not blame anymore. Awesome, Lizzie. I can't wait to watch this again. Yeah, watch it, reloop it. You know, I've learned. I've made the mistake in the past when it comes to some of my content that I only do it once. And I think people will get the lesson when in reality I'm sitting there brewing on this stuff over and over all through my days, my weeks, my months. You know, I'll read topics over and over again. I'll watch the same video over and over again. And so I have to realize, you know, repetition is the mother of all skill. And not just for an individual to repeat the video, but maybe for me to film it in another format, for me to say it another way. So I'm going to do what I can on my part as well. D says, I can't let go of the feeling that my sister is pushy and does things that have offended me. It's changed who we are. I've seen her act in ways that surprise me. I now try to avoid being around her without truly knowing why. I want to quit dwelling on this and let go. You know, here's where I was saying before. I'm not sure if I mentioned it here in a video I was filming before, so things are kind of hazy right now. So, the past, we can't change the past. All that we can do is change our memory of the past. And in so doing, we can change the past. It's a very crazy thing if you want to slow that and rewind it. Let me say it again. We can't change the past. All we can do is change our memory of the past by recreating the story. And in so doing, we can change the past. And so we look at these experiences that we may have had with a family member, such as you know, sister's pushy, maybe she did things that offended you. And instead you can say, okay, well, how could I rewrite this story in such a way that I can find gratitude as a result of it? Every single person has ever learned how to step up for themselves and had a backbone was as a result of a moment when they didn't necessarily have it. When a person knocked them and they realized, oh my God, you know, this world isn't filled with rainbows and unicorns. There's also some shit here. And then they developed a backbone and they can, you know, if they choose to, they can be grateful for that experience. As crazy as it is, as fucked up as it was, you know, they can go, oh my God, as a result of that experience, I learned this thing. And because of that one thing, man, I have a better job. I have a wife that I love because she treats me in such a way that nobody else treated me before. You know, and I can recognize the importance of that. And so how can you reformulate the experience such that maybe it's something that by changing the story, it's another format of letting go, right? It's almost looking at the progress that you created as a result of that experience. Lauren, I'm so tired and drained around people when they just want to live in their own trauma over and over. I get it. Over and over the entire story. Same shit every time. And it lasts forever. And it's so unhealthy and toxic. I've gotten to the point where I can't even tolerate them even starting that conversation. I don't even let myself do that or I go crazy. I get it, Lauren. Right? And sometimes you have to be very serious with a person, right? You have to be very careful in the way that you communicate to an individual. There was a podcast I was listening to by Jocko Willink, and he says, well, when you're in that kind of something that maybe it's not necessarily, you might find a relation to when somebody offends you, right? And you let some things slide over and over again. So when's the appropriate time to tell somebody? Right? Maybe these things have been building up inside you, right? So we repress it, which is, might be what you're doing. You repress it. What's the next stage? Resentment, which we're talking about here. And last stage is, boom, rejection. And you might even do that vocally, loudly, right? And so that's when you bite. And so if you think about it like a dog, right? First, the dog, what do when maybe you come close and it's an aggressive type, right? Or even, you know, it just doesn't want to be that close to you. What do you do? What does the dog do? First, it might growl. Then it might show you its teeth. Then it might become bigger and kind of move towards you if you aren't listening to any of those things. Finally, it bites you. If the dog just bites you all of a sudden like this, the dog might get put down. And then everybody goes, oh, look at that fucking dog. You know, fuck the owner. Doesn't know how to train the damn dog. Yeah, but if the dog gave you warning over and over again, you know, hell. You know, so, in my opinion, you know, I was saying something earlier today about how to kind of solve these situations. And they were saying, oh, like if a person's kind of going off on this, you might tell them first, well, you know what? You must be, maybe is this a practice run? Like, are you practicing with me what you plan to say to that individual? So you might have a more intellectual conversation. If you find that isn't happening, you got to be very real and very curt with an individual. And tell them, hey, listen, stop. Yeah, I got to tell you something. The way that you've been speaking, I appreciate you massively as a human being, as my sister, you know, as my friend. But I got to tell you something. You keep going into this energy. It's not helping you. It's not helping you. And in fact, it's draining me. And I gotta be real with you because I don't want to resent you. I don't want to repress you. You know, I don't want to cause rejection or this bitterness between us. You know, and I have done that in the past with other people, but I just gotta be real with you. I cut it real. And, you know, if you find yourself entering that place, maybe you need to enter those conversations, but please don't do it with me. You know, because my energy is important. You know, my goals are important. When I find myself having that conversation, I feel less inclined to move forward on my projects and my goals. So maybe something like that would be able to help you there. You were speaking my relationship is a huge sign from the universe. Thanks for the clarity. You got it, Lissy. Thank you to this. Diego says, Leslie. Hey, Amanda. I love this. You've really been working on noticing how much I try to reference my past stories instead of I've really been working on noticing how much I try to reference my past instead of being present and being open for new possibilities. We all do. We all do. Effort is like money, you're right. I love that mindset, changing your view of the past. That helps so much. Cool, so here's what I'm going to do, everyone. Keep dropping in some comments. If you would, rewind back, what's the moment that really impacted you in this video? Maybe it's a certain time and you go, or a certain moment when you go, oh my God, when you said that, I had an insight. Because what I'd like to do is cut this up and maybe put it out into certain videos so that the individual that doesn't want to go through this 10-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute video, they get that one piece and they go, that's specific to me. Oh my God, that's exactly my situation. I'll watch the live video. So if you would, just drop in something so that way I know what worked for you. And yeah, if you want to, shoot me a message. Send me a message. I'd be more than happy to help you out. I love you. Have a good night. My phone is about to shut off, so I'm going to say good night. Much love, y'all. Peace. And remember, progress, progress, progress. Most of my content you're going to see right now is going to be driven much more kind of away from relationship focus, self-love focus. More, all that stuff is important, right? But to a broader energy, right? I want people to have work ethic, hustle, drive, momentum, energy toward the goals, toward the things that move them, such that when they look at their life from their deathbed, they're proud and they can be examples for other people. I want people to be unstoppable. And I want them to communicate to other individuals through their actions. And so that's what I'm doing in my life. And that's what I'd like to communicate through my videos from this point forward. So you might see a little bit different content. Stick with me if it moves you. If it doesn't, feel free to unlike. I really want a core group of people that are committed to making amazing lives. Not just for themselves, but for other people. Making amazing businesses. Not just for themselves, but for other people. Helping others. So that stuff's important to me. Awesome, Chris. So I'll see you all in the next video and have a beautiful